Here I am with my homemade LiveScope pole. If you don't know, LiveScope is a fish sonar that is directional. You can turn this handle and get directional sonar and see tree structure, bottom, and fish. An amazing tool for fishing. Well, last month, or the last time I was out, several weeks ago, I hooked this on a stump, and I thought it was going to stop the boat, and I was moving so fast with the trolling motor that it torqued it, and it started spinning the boat, and I thought, oh, it's going to hold, and all of a sudden it snapped. It snapped off. This is homemade, and it is aluminum soldered, I guess. I stopped short to say that it's welded, but you can see the joint where I had it. I'm going to try to show you the process of repairing that, and just so you see how this thing works, once that's attached to it, when I move, I can just lift this off and lay it down, and I can go to the next spot. Really easy to stow and take it in and out of the boat. Okay, I want to get the base plate mounted in the vise. Try to get it somewhat level. Actually, that's not going to work the way I want it to do it. Wow, it really did hang on tight. I didn't notice that. But can you see how this piece is supposed to be straight and square? And it's curved up. That's how much it bent it. It didn't want to let go. It put a ton of torque on it. Well, let me see if I can straighten that back up. That's the best way to do that. I'll get a hammer. Well, that's not perfect, but it is much better than it was. So that focuses. Pretty rough. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take and grind all this old weld off. I think if I just melt it, it'll remelt back onto the aluminum. So I'm going to have to turn it this way. I think I want to weld like I did over here on this. I have a big square plate to reinforce the strength. I think I'm going to do that there also. So this is obviously now the weak link. And what will happen the next time is it'll break down here, or it'll break off the boat. This piece is twisted. I can see that it's twisted. It put a crazy amount of torque on it this last time. Aluminum is so hard to heat up. It transfers the heat so quickly that I have to use multiple torches to put out here and heat this up, and a torch up here to heat this while I'm still trying to weld this. Otherwise, the heat I'm putting off the weld joint just dissipates out into the aluminum, and I can't get it hot enough. But I can see that that isn't working too well. If I lay a weight up there, does that stop it? Okay, got my safety glasses. I want to try to take this little burr off of it right here. This is going to be like that. And I want to cut a reinforcement piece to go across here, and it'll be about that long, twice the length of whatever this is. I'm realizing now that this piece is really warped. It got bent pretty badly, so I will see if I can straighten that out also. So I guess it held better than I expected it to hold. Eyeing down it to see if it's straight. It's not bad. It's not perfect, but it is pretty close. Close enough for what I'm doing. Okay, I got it marked for length. I'm going to put a square line here. Glasses on. That's just to get all of the oxidation off of the edges and round the corners. So I'll grind it after I get done with it anyway to help smooth it out before I paint it. But so there's no sharp edges. This is very sharp, and sharp corners whenever you cut it fresh. Okay, I think I got it rigged up in the vise. Well, that was hard to hold this piece and this clamp and get it all positioned. I think I've got it flat that way. Really close to being square. It's not perfect, but it's not super critical. I know some people would think that the angle of the sonar is critical, but the boat doesn't sit perfectly flat in the water, and who knows whether this needs to be a few degrees off square or perfectly square. Who can say? Without getting in the water and measuring the angle of the boat, which I don't really care about. I've got adjustments on the end of this sonar that if I need to, I can adjust it slightly to make sure that it's level and plumb, but I've never had an issue with it before, so it's going to be close enough. So I'm going to put this plate on, get it all welded, and hopefully show you how that works. Alright, I've got everything rigged up, I think. We're going to try to come on. There we go. That one started. That one started. Get it lined out to shine on this piece. When we get this one started, we do the actual welding. I'm going to zoom you in. Well, barely have it cracked. I'm not sure it's going to be enough heat. I may have to run to the store to get yet another welding soldering tip, propane tip. I have one more laying over there that's totally broken. there it is. Not perfect, but I may tip it up and try to do these inside corners here a little better. They're drippy. I've got this top plate done pretty well, so we'll try it again. There's a little better picture. I think it's in focus. Soldered all the way around those welds. That weld and around to that one. Sorry for the shakiness. I think I'm going to re-solder these inside corners on both sides here. I'll take it out of the vise. I got a big old puddle on the ground here where it's all run out. Not for trying, that's for sure. Zoom you down and show you the puddle that's dripped out of the joints below it. See that? But I think I got a good strong weld. It's the strongest it's ever been. So we'll sit and let it cool. I'm not even going to take the clamp off until it's cooled. I don't want to shock anything at this point. Sharp pointy edges on it, so I'm going to hit it with a... Okay, we're going to get it smoothed out. Okay, the last thing I needed was for this to have a sharp edge or cut me or something while I'm out on the lake. Now it's kind of rough from the grinder, heavy grit sanding paper. So I will just take a file or some sandpaper and just smooth the edges. Then I'll hit it with some spray paint. Okay, we're gonna let that dry and we'll be back. So I am, paint's still sticky. I'm gonna clean this up. See about getting it on there. It seems a little sticky. It slides on there, but it's just a little sticky. So I have the dry lube, Teflon, and I am going to spray on it and spray up in that shaft. Hopefully that will stop my overspray here. Make it easier to spray. We spray inside this thing. Yeah, it ran out. It's on my paint job and messing the paint up, but such is life. That's smoother. Put a little bit more on it. Let it dry. I gotta quit handling this thing. I'm getting paint all over me because it's just for fishing and it's gonna get scratched and beat up pretty bad anyway. I'll put it back to the paint lines that it was. Okay, I think I'm back in business. I'm going to get some electrical tape, tape that. I leave this wire loose so that when I pull it out I have enough slack to get it out and lay it back on the deck to move to the next place. But I can't turn it all the way right now because it hits on the trailer frame. But right now I would be pointing that sonar directly that direction. It goes right with this handle, and it makes it real easy to select this specific tree or any other structure that's on the shoreline. Or if you're just randomly scanning, it lets you know exactly where you locate something you want to fish for. Okay, the continuation on my boat sonar. This is a totally separate problem. This is the actual graph sonar that shows you the bottom and side angle. This is your primary go-to. This will show you the speed of the boat, and the unit it's connected to has GPS, and it shows a plot of the lake that you're on, or any place you could drive down the road with it, and it would show you where you're at. But the important part is this part. There's two of these units. I don't know the name of the unit off the top of my head, but it is a Garmin, and the name of the transducer escapes me. But there's one in the back of the boat that connects to the graph next to my steering wheel, and it's the primary one while you're cruising around looking for new structure. And you can see fish on it. You can see all kinds of incredible detail. And then whenever you find the area you want to fish, you can get out and go to the front of the boat, and there's another graph up there, and on the bottom of the trolling motor it has another identical unit like this. And then you can use that in that area to search in different modes. You can do side scan, you can do the standard depth, you have digital and what I call old-fashioned style, different types of graph displays depending on what you're used to and what you like. You can change the color and a million other things that are on them. Much more technical than I am. I just need to see the structure and the fish on it. But this unit that's at the driver's console is damaged. If you can see the wire right here, there's bare wire exposed, and the wonderful tree rats here chewed the wires in two. Not only have they chewed that, they've got into my truck and chewed the wires off the engine. They have chewed my gas lines in two twice. Had to have the gas tank replaced because they chewed it off flush. It's all molded in one piece. They chewed it off flush to the gas tank and they couldn't fix it. I fixed the first one myself by just splicing hoses in, which they say is a no-no, but it worked, and it worked fine until they chewed it off at the tank. The tank cost me $1,800. So the squirrels are not my friend. I know they're cute, but I'm fixing to cut down on them. So I am going to attempt to pull this sheathing back and see. I have a feeling they only cut one wire. I don't know that, but the shielding is partially still intact because they only chewed half the wire. So I'm just going to see what I can do with it, and I'm going to stick it back on the boat to see if I can make it work. But being underwater all the time, getting it waterproofed is going to be a very difficult job. So I'll see what I can do. And I can't slip the heat shrink tubing on it because it has this without cutting the wire completely, and I don't want to cut it. So we'll just see how it goes. Okay, I'm back. I'll get these single edge razor blades and my glasses, which I don't have, so I'll get those. Okay, well, I can see that wire is chewed in two. It looks like the other wires are individually wrapped with a foil. I can't really see how many are down there, but this one is definitely cut. So I'm going to have to make it worse before I can make it better. If you can see what I'm doing, you can't. My hand blocks it, obviously. I need a camera mounted up there, but I can't. I don't have one of those. Oh, I was wrong. There's two wires cut. This is a pair of wires. I don't see the other wire over here. Oh, those rotten, no good tree rats. Where did they chew the black wire off flush? What the heck? Looks like it's missing. Yep, they did. They chewed it off flush down in this hole. Doesn't give me a lot of hope in fixing this. So I'm just going to have to split it down farther, which I was hoping to avoid. I was hoping to keep this section of it still waterproof. Get that opened up. Split this outside shielding foil. And there is the black wire, just barely exposed. I gotta get some needle nose. There it came out. There it is. So there's a 3/4 of an inch of this black wire missing. The blue wire almost touches. It's only got about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch piece missing. But there is a full 3/4 inch missing on this black wire. So let me see if I can strip the end of it. I think I've got some little tiny wire laying around here. I figure I have nothing to lose by doing this, because it's useless like it is. And these things are $300 or $400. I don't know exactly. I haven't priced one recently. But this has been broke for about 6 months, and I just can't afford to replace it. The stupid sonar cost a fortune, and I shouldn't have never bought it, but I splurged. And I think I spent $2,500, $3,000 on buying the whole sonar unit, which include these, and the graphs, and the LiveScope. Alright, let me source some wire and some solder and a soldering iron. I'll be back. Alright, I found some Cat 5 wire, and I only need just a tiny bit, but I'll cut just a little bit more than I need. Throw that out. Let's see what colors we have in here. There's a light blue one. I don't know what that is, green. No, I don't have a black, so I'll use this red or brown or whatever it is here. It's about the same gauge. It might be a little bit thicker. This is solid core, that's stranded. And we have a blue one here, different shade of blue. Not that it matters, I could use all white or any color, but it just helps to keep them not getting crossed up, because if it can get messed up, I'm the guy that can do it. Trying to use the correct color code wires, but I don't have a black, so I'm going to use the dark brown, and I don't have a same dark blue, but I'm using a light blue, so we'll make it work. I'm gonna try to straighten the kinks out of this. Of course, these pliers are made for thicker wire. These wires so thin, those pliers won't even grip it. Not sure how that's gonna go. We're gonna give it a try though. Some thin wire. I've never used this solder gun, so I'm gonna put some flat spots in it. Well, it looks like it's heating up now. Not sure how to operate this. I'm gonna have to get the book out and figure out. I thought it would just be simple, turn it on, but it's got some crazy programming in it. There we go. Should have left well enough alone. I had it bridged across there. I think I got it. So now figuring out a way to isolate that. I probably could have got a tiny piece of heat shrink tubing on that. That's what I'll do. I'll take it back apart and get a piece of heat shrink tubing on it. Here's some white heat shrink that I have, and I'm not sure how much I can get on there. Let's see if I can get. I have a feeling it's too big. It's not going to shrink down tight enough. Oh man, that's frustrating. Well, this silly thing won't stay on. There it goes back. It heats up really quick when it works. Woo, that's hot. Don't touch it with your fingers, dummy. Well, that's not a very pretty job, but I think it's a sufficient job. Now, if I can get this heat shrink, if it's not already shrunk, and it is. Come on, baby. There we go. Now let's see. Maybe it'll heat shrink. Like I feared, it won't shrink tight enough to go on this. But it does offer some protection. And I'm going to silicone the crap out of everything here. Okay. Getting a piece of heat shrink down on this little tiny stub sticking up is going to be next to impossible. See if I can pull any slack. I did pull a little bit of slack out of it. That was shocking. Solder this piece of wire onto that black one. Let me get some solder on my gun and tin the end of this wire. Okay, I think I've got it connected as tight as I can connect it. Let's see if I can get a piece of heat shrink down around it, let it cool. Ain't gonna hurt nothing to leave it long, so I'll just leave it long. Let's see if I can get it to heat shrink. Again, it is too big a heat shrink to go over that tiny wire, but it will protect it from shorting out against the grounding. Ooh, it's hot. I'll lay it all in there. I think I need to put something else, some tape around this one. I can see a little bit of bare wire. Looks like the shielding melted off of that one right there. So let me get some electric tape. Well, I had liquid shielding. This is called liquid tape, and you would tape it on, paint it on. It is now kind of pliable, rubberized. Let me get a little out here, and I'll throw it away after this. Let's see if I can get enough in here to. Short piece of heat shrink tubing cut to try to put on that end, and I'll cut this wire too. proper length and strip the end of it. Alright, now let's see if I can get that to solder. The thing is frustrating that it won't stay on. I'm not sure why it does that. So I gotta wait for it to heat up in just a second though, luckily. I think that worked. Well, it leaves big little solder points. Got this heat shrink so hot that it shrunk around the wire. See if I can stretch it out enough to get it to slide over the wire. Another wire. Certainly it's not another wire that I missed. Oh no, that's the coating melted, the black jacket melted back off of that wire. Very fragile wires. And now I don't have enough heat shrink tubing to cover all the bare area, but it's close. Okay, well the connections are made. Now I'm just trying to figure out a way to waterproof this thing. I'm going to use silicone and not that crappy tape. I should have used silicone on the previous section. I'm going to lift it up and put some more silicone under it. And the fact that it removes so easily proves that it's a mistake. It just falls right off. Alright, so let me get some silicone. Okay, I have no small tube of silicone or anything that's been opened that isn't already hard, so we're going to open up a new one. I say new, this is an old one, but I think it's probably still good. Shut the soldering iron off since we're done with that. And I am going to pull these wires out of here and blast that full of silicone. If it'll squirt in there, it does. It's still good. Trying to work that down into all of those little nooks and crannies that might be in there. And I sure wish I had a way to get some heat shrink or tubing around this. Slip it down around that hub, and then I wouldn't have to worry about it being waterproof because I know it would work. So, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna take some bigger heat shrink tubing, split it, slip it around there. Okay, this tubing is big enough to go around it, and I need a piece roughly that long. I sure wish there was a way to get it on there. There isn't, because it has this orange cable and this connector. This piece comes off and this piece comes off, but this piece does not, and there's no way to get past that. So I'm going to take a razor blade and split this, in theory. That looks like it's working. And I'm going to squirt some more. I guess I don't even need it that long. It just needs to be a little past. If it's going to leak, it don't really matter if it sticks out an inch longer. So give me another piece of this and I'll put it on the top. I'm going to have one nasty mess here. Run some down through that. And stick it over the top. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Okay. And I'm going to attempt to wrap it tightly with tape. Probably what I'll do, maybe I'll take some zip ties and go around it until the silicone dries. Then I'll wrap it. Well, probably don't even need to wrap it with tape then. Let me get some zip ties. I got a bunch of small ones. Okay, my big bucket of zip ties. Let me get all these little tiny yellow ones out of here. And blue ones. That should be more than enough to get it done. I actually think this might stand a chance at working. Being submerged for 12 hours at a time probably isn't going to be too cool. The reason I'm squeezing it so tight is I wanted to squeeze and force that silicone to create a complete barrier. It'll force it down in the holes and it'll squirt it out the sides and any voids, and hopefully, good Lord willing, save me 400 bucks. But I'm pretty skeptical that it's gonna work. Yeah, we're forcing a ton of silicone out this end, which is a good thing. That is a good thing. My hands are so full of silicone, I can't even hang on to it. I am pretty optimistic that this will work. At least it's my best chance, put it that way. Like a lot of things I do, it looks kind of redneck. And it might be kind of redneck, but if it works, I'm going to be happy. I need some more of these yellers. Or blues. Yellows are easy to get to. There's a blue one with it. Okay. I'm going to come back in here, put one in this one spot. There's space between the two to get one in there. It's hard to stop water. I'm going to put one more down here, and I think I'm going to call that quits. And my weak spot is here because on the bottom side I can't get a twist tie or a zip tie in any closer. That's all solid underneath there. Well, I said that. Wait a second. There comes one. Squirted out a bunch of silicone, so it don't look like much, but we'll see if it works. It is sticky. So I'm gonna wipe this off best I can, then get a little thinner and clean this up before it dries. Here's what it looks like. So hopefully that will be waterproof. It's unique anyway. And again, I haven't lost anything because it didn't cost me a penny to do it, unless you count the tube of silicone, which was scrap off of a job. Okay, we're gonna try this out Monday on the eclipse. Monday is the April 8th of 2024, and I've got my LiveScope fixed, and I'm gonna try this out. And I'm going to go fishing on Wapapello Lake in southeast Missouri. I've been there like once before with my grandparents a long time ago when I was a little kid. And I've been wanting to go down there, and it just so happens to be dead center of the eclipse path. So I should get about 4 minutes of totality, and I'll be on the water in my boat and hopefully have a video for you guys to see. There's my old boat, 1994. No name, fiberglass bass boat. Vivian, I think is what it is. But here is where that transducer is mounted on the back of the boat. And you can see it's just at waterline. If you look at the bottom of the boat, it planes with it. And even when you're running high speed, it's underwater, and you can, unless you're going super fast, which this boat won't do, you're able to keep the speed and depth, but you don't have the detail. And there's where the dash mounted graph is, and then you can come up, and here is my LiveScope and the pole that I mounted. This removes, you can lift it up and then stick it down into the water. The handle is removable. And this is where the other graph goes. So I can sit up here and run the trolling motor. And there's my seat mount. It's old, but it works for me. I'm old with it. And it is filthy. The last time I drove it down the road, it was raining. And tomorrow I'm gonna try to get out here and wash it if it's warm enough.